So while Trump made inroads with New Mexico voters in the election, this is still a blue state, right? We still have all Democratic representation, statewide representation. With that said, to what extent are some of the progressive policies that New Mexico put in place, like passing the Civil Rights Act, our own state Civil Rights Act, protecting abortion and access to gender-affirming care in state law, to what extent are those progressive state policies protecting New Mexicans against the federal changes we're seeing? Deanna?
Yeah, so I think what's important to make clear is that while in New Mexico we follow state law, we still have occasionally more rights than under our federal constitution with some of the laws that you referenced. But it's also true that the federal laws do impact us. I think everyone has a little confusion about exactly how executive orders work, for example, and those do have some force, but not to the same extent as like a federal law or a state law.
If there, executive orders aside, if a federal law conflicts with a state law, does the federal law always take precedence? Or what can our viewers expect when that conflict arises?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and it's true that when federal and state law conflict, the federal law wins. It supersedes our state law, but only if it conflicts. So we have many laws for which there's no federal analog, and so in that case, as with our reproductive access and gender-affirming care access law, there is no federal analog to that, so state law really governs.
Okay. And there are some protections that your organization see as lacking in state law. Just in this last legislative session, both of your organizations were advocating for privacy protections, specifically around digital data, health data. Those proposals failed in the legislative session. Marshall, can you break down why they were needed?
Absolutely. So as Deanna said, we have strong protections right now for access to gender-affirming care, access to abortion. Our state, in many ways, is not enforcing immigration law in the way that other states are. And we have to be really clear that internet access, data, the way that companies collect and use it, expands beyond state borders. And in New Mexico, we have a lot of communities that are what we call like state border fluid. I always refer to Las Cruces and El Paso, Texas. If you live in Las Cruces, chances are you shop, eat, visit family in El Paso, Texas.
Sure.
In El Paso, in Texas, helping a minor access gender-affirming care is not only against the law, it is considered child abuse. So in this world that we live in right now, the parents of a trans kid are on the internet, on their smartphone, and the data that's being collected about them is being put in this portfolio sort of in the cloud somewhere where they are labeled as parents and as middle class and all of these things. And there's probably a tag in that portfolio that says likely parent of a trans kid because they research support for trans kids. When those folks travel from Las Cruces into El Paso, right, they're in a state where our protections for trans kids don't exist anymore. And that data is not protected in any way. This it was an issue for the last year or so. Our organizations worked on it in a different sort of way over last year. And then I think many of us just saw the inauguration. This president was surrounded by the tech billionaires who control that data. Mm-hmm. And so it is not much of a leap for us to assume that that data will then be shared with Texas law enforcement or Arizona law enforcement or federal law enforcement, endangering that trans kid and endangering their parents for doing something that is legally protected in New Mexico while they're in New Mexico, but the information has leaked outside of New Mexico when they cross state
Thanks
borders.
for breaking that down. I think that's probably a lot clearer for folks why you all were advocating for this. Deanna, it didn't reach a floor vote. The proposal, it died in committee. Why wasn't there more enthusiasm in the Roundhouse about this proposal?
Yeah, I think firstly, I think there was some enthusiasm. I think we were able to connect with a lot of legislators, a lot of other like-minded organizations to really tell people why this is important, why this is cross-cutting. why this is sort of the next frontier of our advocacy. And I think in terms of not making it to a floor vote, there's a lot of layers there.
Sure.
But we still believe that this is possible, and our work now is about educating communities about what data privacy can look like and why it's necessary for all of the reasons that Marshall mentioned, including that like we have big tech sort of very aligned with this administration and using all of those data points to create profiles about people for like immigration enforcement, for prosecution, for protected health care, things like that.
So it sounds like you'll push for this again in future sessions.
Yes.
Okay.
That's our hope.
Without state protections around data privacy, I guess I'm wondering what our viewers can do to protect themselves. Like, do you have any tips, Marshall, for kind of DIY digital protections?
Yeah, and I wish it was as easy as just doing it as an individual, but I think there are a couple of things. There are internet services, first and foremost. There are services online that will scrub your digital profile from the public, and we've been telling folks that's really, really critical, especially if you think you're being targeted by the administration or someone in your own community, your own neighborhood, right? In addition to that, we have gotten so used to the immediate permissions for every app you sign up for. You sign up for Amazon and the permission is like, can we keep your data so we can make your shopping more convenient? And we say yes, because convenience
it's like,
is
get out of my
great.
way, I have something to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even since I started working on this, I've started to be very much more thoughtful about, hold on a second, I can search for shampoo by using the search bar. I don't need you to remember that I use shampoo and remind me in 3 months that I might need it,
Right.
as it turns out. And so I think it's just thinking about all those places and times where an app, a website asks, can we collect data? And they say it's to make your experience better, or they say it's to make their app or website better. And I think the response we should have is just think about what information are they collecting about us, and is it something that I don't care if a lot of other people know?
So if that's kind of at the individual level, Deanna, I'm wondering, what about at the community level? What can we, it's not always going to be, or at least not only the government protecting us. What can we do in community to have each other's backs and to help protect each other?
I would say that there's a huge community education piece about how we interact with online service providers and apps, and really as a community come together to understand where our vulnerabilities are and what we're really being exposed to when we use a fitness app or a messaging app that's not encrypted. And so our role as community organizations will be to create that education piece and continue to advocate for the institutional level changes, but really it's about folks coming together and really understanding what we're up against.
Deanna, thank you. Marshall, appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you.